My name's Ashley Miller. I'm 34 years old, and until not long ago, I thought my life was perfect. Married, successful, living in one of those magazine houses, you know the type. Manicured garden, fresh coffee every morning. But all of that collapsed, like a house of cards. And the worst part? No one warned me how much it hurts to be betrayed by the person you swore to love forever. I used to smile without thinking. Now, every smile feels like a battle won. Divorce came like a public sentence. I became the fooled woman, the idiot, the one left for someone younger. And then he showed up. Ethan, the man who laughed at my pain. Yes, he laughed. Mocked me like my suffering was some cheap joke at a bar. What he didn't know was that my divorce set me free, and with that freedom came control over my family's fortune, a fortune I'd hidden, even from myself. So sit down, listen, because this isn't just the story of a broken heart. This is the story of how a shattered woman became a billionaire and decided to rewrite her own rules. And him? Oh, he's going to pay for every laugh he took at my tears. The bar was packed that night. The sound of glasses clinking, exaggerated laughter, the smell of whiskey mixed with cheap perfume. I felt out of place, but I needed to get out, breathe, pretend I wasn't shattered inside. I sat alone at the edge of the counter, pulled my hoodie up trying to hide from the city that seemed to judge me, and then I heard it, the laughter. Did you see who's here? The ex from the White Mansion, the woman from the most pathetic divorce of the year. His voice cut through me. I didn't know who he was yet, but I recognized the cruelty. That mocking laugh wasn't just a sound, it was a sentence. I turned slowly, and there he was, Ethan Carter, the kind of man who thinks he owns the world. Tall, scruffy beard, leather jacket, and that look that says, "I've got nothing to lose." The kind of look I used to fear. Now, it just pissed me off. "What exactly are you laughing at?" My voice came out steadier than I felt inside. He looked at me like I was invisible. The cliché, rich woman cheated on, thought it only happened in movies, until I saw you, alone. The bar fell silent. Everyone looked at me. My cheeks burned, but I didn't cry, not anymore. "Maybe you should look twice before laughing at what you don't understand," I shot back, trying to hold my ground. He shrugged, grabbing his glass like he couldn't care less. "Sure. And you should know that pity doesn't buy respect." I wanted to scream, walk away, but something kept me sitting. Maybe it was hate, or the absurd need to prove I wasn't who they thought I was. Minutes later, when he left without even glancing at me again, I knew that man didn't know me. But I was going to make sure he did, in the most painful way possible. I left the bar that night with a decision etched into my chest. I wouldn't be the woman from the White Mansion anymore. I'd be his worst nightmare. Standing in the wet sidewalk, with the cold wind cutting my face, I called the only number I still trusted. "Joshua, activate the fund. It's time." On the other end, my lawyer didn't ask why. He just answered, "Understood, Mrs. Miller." And that's how, on an ordinary night, a ruined woman decided to show the world and Ethan the power she'd always hidden. The days that followed were strangely quiet. I had spent years running from the name Miller, from the Miller fortune. It was easier to pretend I was just Ashley, the ordinary wife. But now, the game had changed. And Ethan, he kept living as if nothing had happened. He didn't know who I was. Not yet. That morning, I sat in the boardroom of the company that now belonged to me. Massive glass windows, marble floors, the smell of fresh coffee and new leather, but none of it felt real. Joshua walked in, as serious as always, carrying the dossier. Here it is. Ethan Carter, failed businessman, nearly $300,000 in hidden debt. And the most interesting part, he works for a digital marketing firm that's desperate to close a multi-million-dollar contract with Miller Group. I looked at his face in those photos, the same face that had laughed at me. I wondered how many times I'd let people like him walk through my life without realizing it. I want a meeting set, with me, in person. Joshua hesitated. Ashley, are you sure? I've never been more sure. The next afternoon, Ethan walked into my office without knowing where he was. His partner came with him, both talking loudly, selling solutions even they didn't seem to believe. When he saw me sitting at the table, dressed sharply in a black blazer and heels, his face went pale. You... I smiled for the first time in weeks. Mrs. Miller, actually, but you can call me Ashley. After all, you felt comfortable enough to laugh at my life. His partner whispered something, confused, but Ethan didn't hear him. He was trapped in his own mistake. So, you're the billionaire client you disrespected, the cheated woman, and now your potential contract. The silence in that room could have cut steel. He couldn't meet my eyes. I didn't know, he whispered. And does that change anything? Joshua, standing behind me, opened the contract and placed it on the table. Here are the terms. I hope you work well under pressure. Ethan's hand trembled as he signed. I noticed, and I savored every second. While he read, with no option but to accept, I knew this was only the beginning. And deep down, I still hadn't decided whether I wanted to destroy or save that man. Night fell heavy over the city when Ethan called me for the first time. The phone vibrated in the middle of the night, as if even the device knew that call would bring nothing but trouble. Ashley, can we talk? His voice sounded different, less arrogant, more desperate. I took a deep breath before answering. Talk, or try to convince me to cancel the contract I just handed you? Silence. I need this job. I know. I hung up. The next morning, he was sitting in the Miller Group reception. No appointment, no agenda. Just him, dark circles under his eyes, and a suit that looked like it was bought last minute. Do you want coffee? I asked, not smiling. He looked up at me, broken, but still proud. I want to understand. Why? Why did you choose me? I sat across from him. Behind me, the company's golden logo shone like a warning. Because I needed you to feel it. Not the pain of betrayal, but the taste of powerlessness. Now, you understand. He didn't answer. Ethan, you don't have to like me. You don't even need to respect me, but you need to work, and I'm your only way out. He lowered his eyes. For the first time, I saw his pride shatter. I accept. Good, because I wouldn't have accepted a no. In the following days, I started seeing him more closely. Ethan Carter, the man who once laughed at my pain, now followed orders, wrote reports, sat silently in meetings, staring at the floor more than at me. But sometimes when he thought I wasn't looking, I'd catch him watching me, like someone trying to understand something they'd never seen before. One afternoon, I caught him staring at a photo of my ex-husband in some random newspaper. Does he still affect you? Ethan asked, almost human. I swallowed hard. Not anymore. Then why this war? I looked him straight in the eye. Because some scars need justice, not forgetting. He didn't argue. But in that moment, something between us changed, and I couldn't tell if that was dangerous or a sign of hope. The corporate world has its own smell, burnt coffee, cold air conditioning, and expensive perfume masking the sweat of fear. Ethan started getting used to it, but I got used to something far more dangerous. His presence. One night, working late in the boardroom, the silence between us grew louder than any argument. Why didn't you leave that night? I asked, staring at the city through the window. Do you want the honest answer or the polite one? Honest, he hesitated. Because when I saw you there alone, I realized I was laughing at someone stronger than me. I turned slowly, facing that broken man. Strong. You know nothing about me. He smiled slightly, but for the first time it wasn't mocking. Then tell me. Something inside me cracked. I told him. I told him about the fake marriage, about years pretending to be happy just to avoid disappointing my father, about the Miller fortune being a burden, not a gift, and how being betrayed was, ironically, the only truth I'd been given in years. When I finished, I noticed Ethan didn't say a word. He just listened. Midnight struck when he finally spoke. "Do you know what's worse than losing everything, Ashley?" "What?" "Never having anything to lose." With that sentence, I understood who Ethan really was. Not a villain, a survivor, and without realizing it, I let my guard down. "Go home, Ethan," he hesitated. "You want me back tomorrow?" "I want you back, whole." He looked at me, serious, and left. That night, I understood. The line between revenge and redemption was getting dangerously thin, and I was standing right on it. The next days blurred into reports, meetings, and glances that said more than any conversation. Ethan began to change, not just in behavior or attitude, but in how he looked at me, and strangely, in how I looked at him. One afternoon we were in the elevator, descending together to the parking garage. The silence between us was comfortable until he said, "I researched your father." A weight sank in my chest. "And what did you find?" "A man who treated you like an investment." I had no words. He continued, "You know what bothers me about you, Ashley. You act like the power you inherited is a curse. I grew up wishing for a tenth of what you call a prison." The elevator stopped, but neither of us stepped out. I never asked for any of this, and I'd give anything to have half. The doors closed again. Suddenly we weren't boss and employee, not even enemies. We were two broken people. In the garage, before getting into his car, Ethan turned back to me. "Why did you really hire me?" I took my time, looked him in the eye. "Because destroying you felt easier than rebuilding myself." He swallowed hard, said nothing, but his silence said everything. That night I didn't sleep. Memories haunted me, my ex-husband laughing, my father giving orders. And now Ethan trying to figure out if I was his punishment or his chance at salvation. The worst part, I didn't know either. But the game was changing, and for the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to win. It was a Friday night when the unthinkable happened. Miller Group was celebrating a new contract, a sophisticated party on the company's rooftop, golden lights illuminating the surrounding skyscrapers. I, wearing a tight black dress, felt like a character in a movie I didn't want to be part of. But there I was, and there was Ethan, dark suit, no tie, messy hair, and that look. It wasn't one of disdain anymore. It was uncertainty, or desire, maybe both. "You look beautiful, Ashley." I froze. "I'm not used to you being polite," he chuckled. Not the cruel kind from before. Something lighter, more human. Hours passed. Dancing, toasts, forced smiles. But I saw him, and he saw me, like the rest of the world didn't exist. Then, around 2 in the morning, at the end of the party, alone in the empty hallway, it happened. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I asked, unable to meet his gaze. He stepped closer, too close. "Because I don't know if I want to run from you or lose myself in you." Time stopped. I should have walked away, should have remembered why I brought him into my company. But I didn't. The kiss came without warning. Strong, confusing, wrong, but inevitable. When I pulled away, breathless, my heart screamed, "This should never have happened." He whispered, "But it did." I ran. Literally, left him standing there alone. That night, alone in my penthouse, leaning against the door, I cried. Not from pain, but from fear. Because Ethan Carter, the man I wanted to destroy, was now dangerously close to destroying me. I woke up with a decision made. That kiss from the night before had to be buried, forgotten, locked away somewhere even I couldn't find, especially me. That morning, I walked into the boardroom as an executive, not a confused woman. Meeting at 9. No delays. My voice sliced through the air like steel. Ethan walked in minutes later, looked at me, waiting for something. I gave him nothing. Pure coldness. For hours, we talked contracts, campaigns, financial projections, but every word I spoke was a wall I was building between us. When the meeting ended, he stayed behind. "Ashley, don't use my name unless it's strictly necessary, Mr. Carter." He frowned as if I'd slapped him. Understood. I saw the hurt in his eyes, and I hated it. Not him, myself. Days passed like that, invisible punches between us, avoided glances, and the pain of missing something I should have never wanted, until news forced me to focus on something bigger than myself. My ex-husband Dylan was back in town, and he wasn't alone. Joshua brought me the information in a black folder. He wants part of Miller Group, Ashley. The divorce wasn't enough for him. Now, he wants your company. I closed my eyes, feeling the past dragging me down like quicksand. What does he really want? Joshua hesitated. You! The words burned. I didn't notice Ethan entering the room and hearing. He wants to destroy you. I turned, shocked to see him there, but his voice sounded sincere, worried. And you won't face him alone. Why do you care? I asked, barely a whisper. Because I know what it feels like to have everything taken from you. The war I thought I'd already won was only beginning. And Ethan, the man who once laughed at me, now seemed like the only person standing beside me. The walls of Miller Group felt like they were closing in. Every step I took echoed like the hallways were whispering, "Dylan's back." And he wasn't playing. That morning, I saw him, face to face. Dylan walked into my company as if he still owned me. Impeccable suit, calculated smile, and that cold look I once mistook for love. "Ashley, finally ready to talk?" he said, as if the years of betrayal meant nothing. "I have nothing to say to you." "Oh, I think you do. I made mistakes, but the company still carries my last name." It carried. Silence weighed heavy. Before I could order him out, Ethan walked in. I don't know if it was instinct or intuition, but he came. She said no. Dylan looked at him, and his laugh was even more venomous than Ethan's had been that night at the bar. "Who's this? The new toy?" I saw Ethan tense beside me. "I'm the problem you didn't see coming." Dylan smiled, but it was fake. I saw the flicker in his eyes. "Ashley, you won't win this. I already did the day I left you." He left, but not without throwing a murderous look over his shoulder. Hours later, Ethan found me alone in the boardroom. I was trying to hold back tears, staring out at the city through the glass. "Why didn't you tell me he threatened you?" he asked, his voice tight. "Because you're not my ally." He stepped closer. "Maybe I'm all you've got." I turned, eyes brimming. "I can't trust you." He held my face gently, without warning. "Then teach me how." The tears fell, and for the first time I let them, because at that moment I understood. Trust wasn't a choice anymore. It was a need. And Ethan was the only one who still saw me as Ashley. Not an heiress, not a billionaire. Just me. And the war against Dylan was far from over. But now, I wasn't fighting alone. The next few days felt like walking barefoot on broken glass. Dylan didn't attack directly. Not anymore. He did what he did best. Veiled threats, calculated smiles, fake meetings with shareholders, trying to tear me down from the inside. I knew my fall could be just a matter of time. Then Joshua came into my office, holding a red folder. He filed a lawsuit. He's demanding 30% of the company as part of the divorce settlement. I closed my eyes, the weight of the world crushing me all over again. Ethan appeared in the doorway behind him. "Do you think he'll win?" "I don't know." And for the first time, saying that out loud broke me. "I can't lose this company, Ethan. Not now. Not when it finally means something to me." He stepped closer. "Then listen to me. And trust me, for the first time, I did. His plan was risky, but it was all we had. Use Dylan against himself. Show the shareholders what the lawsuit really was, personal revenge, expose the man behind the mask, and so we did. At the decisive assembly, I stood in front of the investors, my heart pounding. Ethan was there, beside me, not as an employee, but as a shield. This lawsuit isn't about finances, it's about control. Dylan wants something he never deserved, my silence and my fear. Today, I refuse to give him either. The murmurs started. Dylan shifted in his chair like a snake, uncomfortable. Joshua handed out the documents, evidence, recordings, proof. Every bit of Dylan's manipulation, years of emotional blackmail, revealed. Dylan tried to speak. "This is defamation." Ethan answered before I could. "It's the truth." When the votes were counted, the verdict was clear. Dylan lost. And when he passed me, leaving that room, I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. That night, alone on the rooftop, Ethan joined me. "It's over." I looked at him. "No, it's just beginning." He hesitated. "Between us?" I took a step forward. "Between me and myself." He smiled. A real smile. And for the first time, I smiled too. The company was safe. Dylan had vanished, running from his own disgrace, but the emptiness he left behind wasn't what I expected. For the first time in years, no one was controlling me. No husband, no father, no enemy, just me and Ethan. I avoided him for weeks after the victory, focused on contracts, meetings, goals, but deep down I knew I was running from something stronger than any lawsuit. That night I sat alone in the empty boardroom. The city lights blinked outside. My breathing was the only sound I could hear until the door opened. It was him. "How long are you going to avoid me?" Ethan asked softly. "As long as I need to." He didn't step back. "You won, Ashley. But you look more lost now than when all this started." I couldn't answer. "I judged you at the bar, in the beginning. I thought I knew who you were, but today I see." "See what?" My voice trembled. He stepped closer. "A woman who thinks she has to fight alone, but she doesn't." The tears came, for the first time, without shame. "And if I trust again and break?" He took my hand gently. "Then I'll pick up every piece." We sat in silence, in the dark. Only our hands intertwined, keeping us connected. That night there was no kiss, no promises, just truth. And for the first time I understood, love doesn't save you. Love chooses to stay, even when you no longer believe in yourself. And Ethan Carter chose to stay. So did I. My name is Ashley Miller, and this was the story of my freedom. Not from divorce, not from betrayal, but from myself. For years, I was a prisoner of fear, of shame, of men telling me who I was, and I believed them. Today, when I look in the mirror, I see someone I never thought I'd meet. Me. Dylan is gone. My company thrives under my rules. But more important than any signed contract, today, I chose to trust. Ethan Carter stands beside me, not as a savior, not as some fairy tale romance, but as a partner, as someone who saw me shattered and chose to stay. Because in the end, true love isn't a promise, it's presence. I've learned that pain does change us. But what really defines us is what we do next. So to you who listen to my story, choose, always. Choose to stand back up, choose to trust, choose to start over, and if you can, share this story. Maybe someone out there needs to remember that the power was never in their enemy's hands. It was always in their own.